This is KC9VKV in Qso with N9GTO on a repeater that we have been working on here of late. Lou, you got a copy?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so this repeater has got, what kind of antenna is this repeater running?
Highly modified GP9.
A GP9. And this, we were working on this repeater a couple of days ago, and what was the type of antenna that was on there originally?
Originally it was a Cushcraft.
Yeah, I meant like 2 days ago when we worked on it, we pulled one antenna off. What kind of antenna was that?
That was a non-modified GP9.
All right. And what was the modification that was made? This is a new nine, and it's been modified how?
We added six new banjos, or no, six new rubber bands.
All right. Now, what is the physical size of this antenna? It's what, 16 feet long?
18.5 feet long.
A long one, and it's basically a coaxial, a collinear antenna, not a it's just a collinear, right? It's not a coaxial collinear.
No, it's just collinear only with phasing coils. Collinear only with phasing coils, and we upgraded the capacitors to mica 4,000 volt instead of the ones that come from wherever it's manufactured at that are real poor. And modified some of the up tilt to where we just basically changed the physical size of it to where the signal is now going out the side as it would in its 3 5/8 on VHF and 8 5/8 on UHF. So it's 8 bays on UHF and 3 bays on VHF.
And how does that interpolate gain-wise?
My numbers say 8.5 dB. The manufacturer says 11.9. But real numbers comes up to 8.5 on UHF and somewhere in the neighborhood of 4.7 on VHF on real numbers.
So what they were quoting was dBi?
Yes, let me double check here real quick, and I'll look up some notes here that I had, but and then we had taken the antenna and went to a 16 bay array, and with the 16 bay array, we, with the proper phasing, we noticed that we had a great deal of, even though it was great for receiving, you'd really have to run a considerable amount of power to make up the difference. At 15 watts of power going into the antenna, we had in the middle of the antenna approximately 80% of the power, and as once we got to the top of it, it was down to 0.25%. At the last bay, we were down to 0.25%. On the same current node and voltage node, there was so much. You only have so much power, and you can divide it up between those antennas. And they are solid brass as opposed to hollow tubes. They've been modified to solid brass.
And we were doing little field strength readings, going up and down the antenna, looking at the lobes and the dips and all that, and it was interesting to see. It would just the field strength meter would indicate the nulls and the lobes. And did they all? And when we finished, did they all seem to be in the right place?
Yes. And the antenna was originally designed for no more than 100 watts FM, 200 watts sideband, and now the antenna will handle a kilowatt all day long, as well as the original antennas. As they falter, they're not a commercial antenna by any means, but with the proper modifications to be made. And I don't recommend them for a top mount situation, but if they're side mounted and you can do the phasing on them, or you have 3 of them on a tower or 2, whichever you want, and work real well. But it was 36 feet long on the 16 bay array, with the 6 bay array on VHF and the 16 bay array, and the power factor really dropped off around right at 70% of the antenna. Once it started going up, power factor started dropping off major. So there were some concerns that over a period of time the juice is not worth the squeeze. So you would not want to modify that antenna no more than 24 feet. That's about, it's, you know, the maximum you're going to get out of it as far as gain-wise.
Roger, Roger. Well, I had the interesting journey yesterday we went out to Mike Lenig's to get the home of some great fish dinners, but they had been closed for about 2 or 3 days, so unfortunately that was a good drive for nothing. But it did put us on the Gene Snyder west, moving through the Gene Snyder, which is a wraparound highway around Louisville, about 18 miles or so around from downtown Louisville, in a circle interstate. And we did go from the west side all the way to the east side. And now the antenna for this repeater is what is the height of it, all that stuff?
Well, the ground level is 450 feet, and with the added tower, it's about 75 feet at the bottom, 75 feet at the bottom of the antenna, and then you have an additional 18 feet on top of 75. I'm going to say it's just a little bit above the asphalt at Sanford Field. That's what I would say. Over.
KC9VKV. Anyway, we were doing this Gene Snyder run, and I was with the BAOFENG rubber ducky inside the car, and did not hit anything until we got to the north-south. And then it was a good signal from the north-south pretty much all the way around to 64, which again, that's kind of a circle around about 18 miles out or thereabouts. And as we moved further east, the signal got much more intense, and we were headed towards Sam's out there at Blankenbaker. And it was a really solid BAOFENG friendly signal there at Sam's at 64 and what is that, Blankenbaker?
Sounds like you enjoyed yourself. Yeah, the antenna, the way it's designed, to get the absolute maximum coverage, and we're only putting out after the duplexer's 15 watts right now, to get the absolute, the radiation pattern is directed towards the horizon, omnidirectional around the antenna itself. And keep in mind that a high gain antenna pattern has a narrow elevation angle. So if you were up on a mountainous area, it would not reach the valley floors. So, again, we were talking about that, how just 1,000 feet will change things. And the GP6 has various designs in it with a wider radiation angle. And we were able to change that. So we were able to add value to the antenna. So it made a big difference compared to the previous antenna to the antennas up there now.
Roger that, yeah. And for a low-profile situation at 15 watts, it was really a good signal, I think, out there at Sam's, which I'm saying that's probably about 18 miles or thereabouts, somewhere in there. And as we came in, obviously it got more intense, and it was doing real well in the downtown area too. So that is one of the areas that I think you wanted to cover, Roger.
Well, it's more of a low profile, and understanding the issues with the antenna. The antenna, it would have been great. For instance, some antennas really work great to low to mid elevation installations, where there's high gain radio patterns in most effective areas. But in most cases, where you've got to be able to look at the tilt. Where is it down tilt, flat tilt, up tilt? Very similar to like a quarter wave would do on top of a vehicle, to where you're getting that signal maximum, receive signal and transmit signal to the repeater up above. And that was the whole ideal here, is to mainly adjust those binoculars, as we say, just by the phasing. And that was all just a mathematical formula, just readjusting it and then truing up the SWR and the final touches of it. So there is a lot to be said. And the one antenna that you removed, the very expensive commercial antenna that weighs 100 pounds, that had a lot of down tilt in it. And that was an issue. Too much down tilt. It would have been great for a 10,000 foot or a 3,000 foot or a 300 foot tower with nothing around it. For down tilt, I think the degree of down tilt was considerably more than what's needed. So a 7-degree down tilt is good. This one here, it's flat. We have sections. You have 8 bays array, and with that, the first 4 bays are flat, and then the top bay is actually looking down 2 degrees. The top 2 bays are looking down 2 degrees, and then the 2 other ones there are actually looking down. So I don't have my notes in front of me, but I'll show you on pen and paper where those, how critical that is. And you got to do a site plan. So many people think you can just throw this thing up and go. Without a site plan, you're just digging dirt for nothing. And within 4 to 5 years, I've learned you got to plan it out. You got to put pen and paper and research it, figure out what's around you. It's going to affect things. And that's why it was so critical to get this thing right. Be the last time for a while that the antenna had to be.
Roger that. So would you say that the majority of your radiation pattern is in a horizontal 90-degree configuration, horizontally to the antenna? Oh, battery failure? Now you got to understand about Lou. He goes for years at 1/8 of a watt on his Baofeng. He he does not usually run a great deal of power, so his Baofeng battery lasts probably about 3 months between charges. But I think we just had a battery failure there.
Exposure level, UV protection, you name it, and keep the couplings from coming apart. And as you noticed on that one antenna we took apart, there was actually a brass coupling in there, a compression coupling that would keep the antenna from coming apart. Whereas the GP9s had just like a little rubber grommet in there, and that was it. So you just pull it apart. There's nothing compressing on it, so just a real poorly made antenna.
Roger. Now, you may not have heard me, but I was just speaking disparagingly of your Baofeng battery failure, which, anyway.
Oh, let me grab some more batteries here. Hold on. Does it tell you it's... I don't hear it talking. Is it talking to you?
Yeah, it ceased to function there for a minute. You changed batteries, right? Hello, hello. Anyway, this is a no edit production here. We are temporarily experiencing technical difficulties.
Oh, once again, I'm charging the big battery, and the other big battery is out at the truck. And the little battery I'm on, a Jim Ferguson little battery, and that's why it went dead. It hadn't been charged in several months.
Roger, Roger. Now, if you're still willing to donate a couple of those batteries, man, I'm using those exclusively in my Baofeng. Roger, Roger.
Yes, but you need to go to a better situation there. On the Baofeng, you need to have you a dummy battery that doesn't work, and you can feed it 7.5 volts.
Oh, I got no problem. You're the one that died. I'm in the charger running beautifully.
You're in the charger too?
Absolutely, absolutely. Baofeng sitting in the charger, wired up. Now that is a modified charger. I've got about 4,000 mics of capacitance to get rid of the ripple.
A battery charging another battery is a sure way of keeping it clean.
Roger, Roger. Well, it should be clean now. So what I was asking is that the majority of the radiating elements, after angulation considerations, are radiating horizontally. Most of the radiators are radiating 90 degrees to the antenna. Is that a Roger?
That's correct, and we confirmed that by the testing that we did the other day. We confirmed that as opposed to other antennas, and as you saw, other antennas had exhibited various various lobes, I should say, various lobes of current and voltage, and the one that we were looking for was the most was from the beginning to the end, having the current in the middle, and that assured a 90-degree takeoff to the horizon.
All right, so I just wanted to confirm what we did the other day. It was a long day, and a lot happened, and we did a lot of investigating about different. And I think we probably went through about 4 or 5 antennas doing investigations. Roger.
Yes, and with the highly modified GP9 where it's at now, it is two S units. Two S unit. Wait a minute. Let me look at my notes here. Wow. The antenna we compared it to had 2 5/8. The antenna we compared it to had a total of 3 nulls, and originally the one antenna was not doing very well. The antenna on the home that we had checked out, it was a gain. It was doing much better than the antenna. It was in doubt. So once the new antenna went in place and went up to its position, it was 3 dB hotter in Shepherdsville than the antenna that originally was, in other words, at the same height.
Roger. And so you'll be coming up maybe, let's see here, you're at 15 now, so 30 will be 3, and you'll probably be running about 50 or so?
Well, my plans are to put a preamp on it for receiver and take the solid-state Henry and turn the repeater down to where I can get 100 watts out continuous after the duplexers, 100 watts to the antenna, and then with the gas-fed receiver, it should accommodate both.
Roger. I hear Gracie giving you cues in the background.
Oh yeah, they're communicating with each other, and I'm not sure what's going on here. I think it's just a little razzle-tazz here.
Roger. All right, and folks, you've been listening to the repeater. This is the repeater, 441-850, no PL, in the Louisville area. So if you get a chance, check her out. N9GTO, appreciate the Qso.
Alrighty, November 9, Golf Tango, Oscar, clear.
KC9VKV, clear, 3s all.